Greetings, peace and blessings. Hey y'all, hey y'all. Come on in, come on in. Definitely come on in. Hope everybody's day is say, make it something move, make it something move, right? Peace and blessings, everybody. I had a great day though. I've had a very productive day. All is well. And I have been really finding out some things about this illegal immigration situation. I mean, it is like I don't know if I'm becoming if it's an allure or if it's just I think it just runs so deep, y'all, that it's like if it inadvertently affects our everyday lives, and the more it progresses or it if it is allowed to progress, it will become more complicated, and the ability to be able to reverse it becomes more complicated and less likely as each day goes along. So we're going to get right off into it. No long intros for me. Peace and blessings to the chat. We got Miss Yo in the building. For those that are new to the channel, I just want to say thank you to my new subs. I appreciate y'all. Tap the like button to the live stream or the replay, whichever applies. And if you don't mind, if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. There are memberships that are also offered. And definitely you want to tap all of your notification bell to all notifications so you don't miss it when I do go live or when I do some premieres, right? Or members only, because I'm getting ready to start doing some member only lives too. I have a few, but I'm talking about live streams. So with that being said, let's go off into the immigration aspect of it. So there's a lot going on since President Trump, or the elect President Trump, has been he hasn't been sworn into office, but he has been elected by people. He has assigned a new border czar. His name is Tom Homan. Tom Homan is a card. He is a piece of work. He is interesting, and he's straightforward, and he's blunt, and he means business, right? And so his whole demeanor towards illegal immigration, he's had a very strong stance prior to the Biden administration, but it really became heightened, and it became more pronounced, and he became more aggressive with his vocal opposition to whatever is being allowed. His primary focus is that our borders are unsecure at the end, or unsecured at the end of the day, and there has to be some change, or at least, at the very least, enforce the laws that are in place. Because that has been a big gripe of his, is that they have not been enforced properly, yada, 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 right? So y'all, I'm going to go off camera for just a few minutes while we go ahead and launch the first video. And this is giving some hindsight, because one of the things that I actually found super interesting is I started delving into a different perspective, as opposed to just the perspective of being from the US, right? Being affected. All of the people coming in that are illegal, or they're unmonitored, they're not properly, vetted, checked in, allowed in, they don't have proper documentation. And I think what prompted me to kind of delve into it a little bit further from their side, or from the other side, so to speak, is because of the amount of people that have been at the border, or that were at the border and still are at the border trying to get in before President Trump-elect is sworn into office on January 20th, and they're taking their chances. And I'm like, why would they leave their native lands, their homelands, take the journeys, take the chances. We got a presence of cartels that are they're dominating areas close to the border, and they are victimizing and bullying and totally taking advantage of the situation of the people, of their families. And they are cruel in doing so in their tactics in getting what they want. But with this knowledge, why are they still with such uncertainty with the election process, with the climate, with now President Trump elect is his presence is causing some governors to withdraw funds and availability for resources and programs and federal programs that have been in place pretty much the entire Biden administration. Now you see a trickle effect of governors, particularly in sanctuary cities, in the states that those cities are in. They are, like I said, gradually withdrawing and limiting resources and funding for those that are steadily coming into this country day by day. So, along with myself, I would love to be able to give a different perspective from the other side, or at least let the other side or some members of the other side tell their story, because it is their journey. And it is so easy for us to look at it from a one-dimensional vantage point that we really don't understand because we haven't been through it, unless you seek out the information and you are looking for the information to see exactly what these people are running from, why they find the odds to be worth it, whether it's in their favor or not, to uproot themselves, their families, liquidate everything, if they have anything from their native lands, to come over here to the United States. There had to be promotion. There had to be some type of marketing in my lingo. I know that might be a curt term to use, but that's just what's the first thing that comes to mind as to why or inviting the people to come here. And you will see in the footage that I'm going to show and demonstrate that, guess what? A lot of them aren't being told the honest truth, and there's a lot of non-transparency being given to them, and so they don't find that out until it's too late. And now they are in jurisdictions, and they are in environments, and they are on soil to where it is not set up for them to succeed. It is not as smooth sailing for many of them as we have been told, or we may think, including myself, right? So with that being said, no further ado, let's go ahead and get a little bit of perspective on the cartels and the illegal immigrants coming from other countries having to encounter the cartels, be subjected to their violence, through their extortion tactics that they have, and they're vulnerable and helpless. And contrary to a lot of the footage that we see, I know for me, one of the things that I've been seeing is like, okay, why are nothing but men being videotaped coming across the border, or their caravans are coming over, the groups are coming over from various countries, and all you see are young, military-aged, able-bodied, healthy-looking men, and you don't see children in tow, you don't see wives in tow. Well, that's not true necessarily in its totality. And here we go.
Win on November 5th, the migrant invasion ends.
But now crossings are down after the Democrats passed tough new laws. But some are still risking the journey, and it's not just governments they are dodging.
The train just stopped and all the migrants are really nervous.
It's a cartel civil war that's seen migrants targeted for kidnap and ransom. This is their story. This is the Rio Grande, the river separating Mexico and the United States. This crossing used to be packed with people, but now it's quiet. Numbers have dwindled since the US stepped up deportations earlier this year, and Mexican authorities are stopping people from reaching the border. But that's only half the story.
Cuénteme cómo le está yendo con la cita.
Pastor Hector Silva runs a shelter for migrants here in the town of Reynosa. According to him, they've been scared off by the powerful cartels who are targeting migrants for kidnap and ransom.
Ya ahorita la mayoría ya sabe que al llegar a Reynosa o cualquier punto de la frontera van a ser secuestrados.
The threat from the gangs has turned Reynosa into a ghost town. But for those still willing to risk it, the journey starts 250 miles south. At an abandoned station in central Mexico, they're waiting for a train to what they hope will be a better life. Known as the Beast, the freight service which passes through here has for years been used by migrants to hitch a ride north. For Pancho and his family, it's the latest stage in their journey from Venezuela.
Yo pensaba que anoche iba a llegar gente, yo llegué anoche acá, yo pensaba que iba a llegar gente y no llegó nada, no llegó nadie. La gente tiene temor a subir, por los carteles.
Pancho and his wife Diana have escaped the cartels once before, but only after they threatened to rape his daughter. Now he carries a knife in case they meet again.
So migrants also face additional dangers from cartels, which increasingly profit from human trafficking, charging protection fees for safe passage. Not to mention that we are still dealing with the drugs, the influx of the drugs that are coming into the country through different forms that they feel will pass border protection, such as candy, and other discrete different types of entry into the country. So you're looking at lucrative opportunities that human trafficking provides over other illegal activities, and the margin and the profit jumps by far, right? And it's much easier to explain or to avoid questions to have to explain that this is what is going on. Because to me, it's like if you have a lack of a body, people are disappearing, it's easier to not have to be held accountable in that area than if you have candies on you and when they're tested, they are high in drugs that can actually unalive you at the touch without a glove. If enough of it is ingested through your skin and your system, it's a wrap, right? So these cartels, this is the one thing that really got me, y'all, was that they have a whole sophisticated system in place for those that have paid and that require or that are asking for asylum after they have paid in the rest of their journey, or those that have not. So there are basically the haves and the have-nots. So those that have not paid, those that have not been stopped, that have not paid into the cartel system, they don't get what they call a stamp to avoid double charging them, while migrants themselves describe their journey as traversing a human jungle, as one man put it. Let's go.
This is the Rio Grande, the river separating Mexico and the United States. This crossing used to be packed with people, but now it's quiet. Numbers have dwindled since the US stepped up deportations earlier this year, and Mexican authorities are stopping people from reaching the border. But that's only half the story.
Cuénteme cómo le está yendo con la cita.
Pastor Hector Silva runs a shelter for migrants here in the town of Reynosa. According to him, they've been scared off by the powerful cartels who are targeting migrants for kidnap and ransom.
Ya ahorita la mayoría ya sabe que al llegar a Reynosa o cualquier punto de la frontera van a ser secuestrados.
In addition to that, there is another, like what you can call as a hub, and that is in Tapachula, Mexico. And it is a pit stop where they have a bunch of shelters and they have a lot of facilities where people can actually apply through an app that the United States has created and made available for you to make an appointment in order for you to be granted asylum. Because at this point, they are not, without proper documentation and without going through due process of the CP1 app, and at least scheduling an appointment to provide certain documentation to be granted asylum and safe passing into the US, then guess what? You are at risk. This is multifaceted. It has multi components to this, because now there was a whole speech that Trump did recently where he stated that he will be imposing high tariffs if Mexico doesn't get their border under wraps or under control to slow down the illegal immigration coming into this country. So the CP1 app is an app and a venue to avoid that, because the natural asylum that this current administration that has been in office has granted is no longer in effect. And now Mexico is being held accountable because a lot of the different countries and the migrants coming from other countries, they're all using Mexico as a port of entry into the United States. So if Mexico and the United States don't have a mutual understanding, then guess what? They're just going to let anybody pass over the wall, which is really not all that secure, unless there are certain ports of entry, like in Texas, where they have barbed wire, they have all of these different protections in place. They have military enforcement. They're using strong methods of pepper spray. They are armed. They are actively covering the border, and they are preventing entry unless they are coming through correct ports of entry, which I found one of the reasons why I actually started this this interest in the illegal immigration aspect of it was because I found it odd that the Biden administration and the current administration in office would sue Abbott for upholding the laws of the Constitution, the laws of the state, the immigration acts that they put in place or that they signed off on. And because Texas is such a big state and there are so many different ports of entry and areas that they can come in, the migrants can come through unmonitored, I guess the current administration took for granted that Abbott really wasn't going to enforce, or they were going to play ball. And Abbott said, no, we're not. We're going to uphold the Constitution. And now they're being sued in some aspects based off of that same Constitution, based on the legalese that is used in courts. They have found some loopholes to think that they have a case to even sue the state of Texas and the governor specifically, right? So what I'm saying is that there is a whole lot going on. Now, I just want to give out a fun fact here, which I didn't know. So Mexico's border with the US stretches more than 3,000 kilometers. 3,000, that is almost 1,900 miles. So off of 1,900 miles between the Mexican border and the US border, where it connects, you're talking about Trump saying, okay, well, they started to build the wall, but you can see literally where the wall ends in some areas, right? And people are able to just walk around it. It's an inconvenience. It's further south. However, it is what it is, but it still at some point ends. But you're talking about 1,864 miles of wall. That nobody really talks about that. Putting that into context and putting that into perspective is really, really important, especially when you have the information, right? So let's go.
Threat from the gangs has turned Reynosa into a ghost town, but for those still willing to risk it, the journey starts 250 miles south. At an abandoned station in central Mexico, they're waiting for a train to what they hope will be a better life. Known as the Beast, the freight service which passes through here has for years been used by migrants to hitch a ride north. For Pancho and his family, it's the latest stage in their journey from Venezuela.
Yo pensaba que anoche iba a llegar gente, yo llegué anoche acá, yo pensaba que iba a llegar gente y no llegó nada, no llegó nadie. La gente tiene temor a subir, pero es por los carteles.
Pancho and his wife Diana have escaped the cartels once before, but only after they threatened to rape his daughter. Now he carries a knife in case they meet again.
Sí. Vea, nosotros tenemos que llegar hasta acá, chama, vea. Nosotros estamos aquí.
In the station, they meet Josué, another Venezuelan joining them on the train.
Depende de lo que podamos disponer, llegamos a Chihuahua.
So I want you to notice something, right? These people are, okay, hold on, y'all. These people are definitely intentional. He's got an entire map. He's got instructions on a map. The map is color coded. They are coming from various countries using Mexico as a port venue to go through in order to hit the U.S. So it's not just coming into the U.S. You got to come through Mexico. Now, it is really up to Mexico at the end of the day if they enforce how difficult they make it or how easy they allow those people to come across the U.S. border. Because like I said, that absolute border ends at some juncture, right? So if they go south enough or north enough, they're able to circumvent, just walk around it. There's no barbed wire. There's no military force sitting there. None of that. But these people are running from something. Now, my stance, and I stand in the fact that though I have a certain level of empathy of what your country may be enduring, I am a citizen of a country that we have to endure a lot here as well. And depending on how the media or how the country is marketed to other countries, the words that get out, there are so many different forces or avenues of technology that can be utilized that it can even get lost in, and it does get lost in translation quite a bit. That these people, in my opinion, many of them are being lured here because the opportunities here look a lot more appealing than where they're coming from, right? So I just wanted to make that notation, and let's go.
Depende de lo que podamos disponer, llegamos a Chihuahua o a Monterrey. Sí.
He cycled 450 kilometers to get here, a journey of optimism and desperation.
¿Y qué llevas acá, hermano?
La esperanza, brother. Dejé toda mi familia allá. Toda la fe está.
He asked him, he said, what do you carry in here? He said, hope. He said, hope. Listen to what he says next.
Está conmigo. Está la fe de mi familia. Está con eso ya da.
I left my whole family behind. They put their faith in me. All my family's faith. With that, it's enough.
Basta y sobra.
¿Tienes harto peso?
No, el peso es ligero, sí.
The interviewer says, you have a heavy burden. He responds without hesitation, no, the burden is light if God is with me. Whew, boy, you can learn something from anybody. Let's go.
Dios está conmigo. Que la hago, yo, brother.
Finally, they get their chance. The train arrives and begins to slow down at the signal point. The migrants rush for whatever space they can get. Families stacking to the gaps between carriages.
¡Pancho!
Every second counts. They don't know how long the train will stay for. Josué gets his bike on board and then offers a hand to those running out of time. Traveling on the Beast can take weeks because migrants have no idea where it will stop or for how long.
they are certainly unsure and they are uninformed. They have a plan in place, but they are subjected to powers outside of themselves as to if that plan is even remotely executed. They don't have a timeline. They don't have any assurances. They know when they begin the journey that they don't have adequate documentation. People know. They've done their homework before you liquidate. If you have any assets in these third world countries, they know what they're risking. They're leaving family members. That gentleman said, I am the representative of my family. I am leaving my family to make a way for my family. We can learn something from that. Some of us can. Some of us know it. Some of us don't, right? I'm here to tell you, this has not shifted my stance, but it's given me broader perspective that at the end of the day, we're all human and we are all subjected to the same system in place. We're all pawns on the chessboard. They want us to be divided. They want us to be at odds. They want us to be judgmental of one another. They want us to be quien es macho. Guess what? This is all about me and my family. I don't care what you got going on, but whatever you got going on, make it work. Go back to your country and make it work. Make your country better. It's too late at this point because for the past 4 years, they've been allowed to come over here. And now many of them have understood that now that the election has been it's over and done with, and people understand who's going to be in power. Guess what? Now they're like making a last ditch effort because whatever that effort looks like for them looks better than their current circumstances where they're coming from. Let's go.
Hundreds have died or lost limbs after falling off. But for the families sheltering from the wind between the carriages, just being on board is cause for hope. The men keep watch on top of the train, where one wrong move can throw them off.
Everybody knows their role. There is a plan that is being executed in a life or death situation. Not only do you have so many uncertainties going across different laws and different jurisdictions of different countries. We're not talking about cities in the United States. We're talking about countries, cultures, environments, laws, bills, and everything that goes with it, good or bad, right? And these people are like, look, this is a concerted effort. The whole family is on board. Everybody is understanding that they have to be a cohesive unit. They have to be totally in sync with one another and put all of the other bullshit and all of the idiosyncrasies and all of the small stuff to the side, completely to the side, because this is literally a life or death situation. So you got the men of the bunch on the roof of trains to keep their eyes out for danger, imminent danger, while the children and the mothers are down below on the train to make sure that they are protecting the children and that the children are good. Can you imagine? Can you imagine 10 children of tender ages going through several countries, coming across cartels where they are watching their parents being extorted, threatened, in some cases harmed, for a better life, as they have been told by somebody? Let's go.
¿Migración le tiene miedo? No, migración no. Migración lo que uno que puede hacer, agarrarte y bajarte para Tapachula, por allá abajo te llega otra vez. En cambio las otras personas te agarran y te violan, te matan, te hacen de todo. De ahí no te salvan ni mi Dios.
migrant invasion ends.
But now
Lord, I did this last time, y'all. Forgive me. Oh, Jesus. I messed up the whole
nosotros tenemos que llegar a-
with me. I'm gonna get it right. Give me 1 second.
The train just stopped and all the migrants are. The train just stopped and all the migrants are really nervous because we're in the middle of nowhere.
This is the selfless gentleman that decided to go on the same, I don't know his name, God bless him, that decided to go on the pilgrimage and the journey with these people and their families to document and bring awareness and light to the other side, right?
They fear we could be kidnapped.
eventually the train gets going again and the migrants breathe a sigh of relief.
Far. Let's go back. Let's go back a little bit.
Te salvan y mi Dios.
Because there's a part there it is. There's a part I definitely.
No, migración.
That see migrants targeted for
Forgive me. I'm not going to use this one down here. I'm going to use the one up top. Bear with me, y'all. Listen, I'm challenged in some areas.
Every second counts. They don't know how long the train is.
Messing my head up. So if it ain't messing your head up, God bless you. Hold on. So look at the children, right? They got suckers. You got mamas down there trying to keep them calm. You got one of the mamas over there trying to make sure that she's got the line of communication open while the train is moving. Look, everybody very, children are very
Carriages, just being on board.
intuitive. And to keep them calm and happy is not always a very smooth task. So shout out to these moms with their kids. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna use the other one, so we shouldn't have this issue.
No, migración no. Migración lo que uno que puede hacer.
Okay, migration can only catch you and take you down to Tapachula, and from there you can go back again.
Agarrarte y bajarte para Tapachula, por allá abajo te llega otra vez. Cambio las otras personas te agarran y te.
And the other people, the cartels, kidnap you, they grape you, they unalive you, they do anything to you.
Te matan, te hacen de todo. Y ahí no te salvan ni mi
Not even God can save you anymore.
Dios.
This train used to be packed with migrants traveling up north, but nowadays, just a few of them traveling in
So
between.
his name is Guillermo. What did he say? I want to get Guillermo Galdos. Guillermo Galdos.
But nowadays, just a few of them traveling in between the carriages and on top of the train.
As the train continues, we enter cartel territory and it begins to slow down.
The train just stopped and all the migrants are really nervous because we're in the middle of nowhere. They fear we could be kidnapped.
Eventually, the train gets going again and the migrants breathe a sigh of relief. But as the evening comes, the fear creeps back. It's harder to see when danger is coming, and if the train stops, we are an easy target. No one knows that better than Diana, kidnapped once before.
Que yo pasé eso y sé cómo es y no quiero vivirlo otra vez, no quiero que otra persona viva lo que yo viví.
So she's saying, I know what it's like and I don't want to go through it again. I don't want anyone else to go through it. So just to give you context, all of this, the effort and the hopping trains and the going to different, areas, countries, yada, yada. Once they are found by officials, they are actually bussed back and transported back to where they came from. She is one of those people. So this is not her first rodeo. That's how hungry she is for what she interprets as freedom.
And then the thing everyone's been fearing, the train comes to a halt.
We're in the middle of the night. We've been told that further down the line there's a heavy cartel presence and it's incredibly dangerous. We've decided to drive to the border, but the migrants will continue the trade.
For a week, we wait to hear if the migrants made it to the north.
Gracias a Dios, estamos aquí en la frontera ya.
Diana sends us this video. She's arrived safely at the border and is planning to cross illegally.
Nos están pidiendo plata. 5,000.
5,000 per person to cross. The closer they get to the border of the United States, those cartels that are positioned there, it went from at one point, I saw somebody say it was 120 per person in their family. Every head was $120. We at 5,000 per person, the closer they get to the border of the United States. Shout out to the chat.
Por cada uno para podernos pasar.
Josué has also made it. He's been granted an appointment to enter the US and apply for asylum, something he's keen to do before a possible Trump victory.
Para esta fecha, 6 de noviembre, me salió la cita, ya voy a poder entrar legalmente a Estados Unidos.
So he said, now, obviously, this was actually footage prior to November 6th. So he was saying that as of November, y'all, forgive me, November 6th, guess what? Hopefully with the goal achieved, and I'm sure that that goal implied that Kamala would become or be elected president. But my point is that without them knowing it, they still was in motion. They still made the decision. They still took the chance. They still uprooted their entire families, including babies, toddlers, young children, women, wives, mothers of their children, not knowing and not being sure as to what the outcome was going to be. But conditions where they've come from must have been so horrific to the point where it was a chance they were willing to take, right? So let me just say, shout out to my chat. We got O Speaks in the house. We got Rachel in the house. Riders for Life. Y'all, to my mods, please feel free to drop links. I can't do it. I'm not that savvy while I'm doing commentary. But you definitely, for any content creators that are present in my chat, please feel free to drop their links. We support one another. And I definitely yield support from everybody that's in the chat. And I want to reciprocate that and show love as well. And I only align myself and associate myself with people that come with quality information and with a good disposition of spirit and heart and kind. I don't surround myself with people I'm not sure of. And I definitely don't embrace them and promote them and share them with others unless I feel good about what they're bringing to the table. So again, to my chat, feel free to drop links for those content creators that are in the chat and in this live, right? So I just want to continue. We're almost done with this one. We're going to go on to the next one, and then we're going to shift a little bit.
The fate of people like Josué has become one of the driving forces of US politics. As Americans prepare to vote, it's not just their lives that will be affected by the outcome. Hope for a better future will continue to drive people to make these.
Now, this is not a scene we normally or usually see, right? You seeing whole families here, people of different genders, ages. You are seeing a family unit. That is not what is being shown to us by the media. And I want to know why. I always want to know why. Shout out to Miss Yo on that too. I have also always wanted to know why.
Dangerous journey, no matter who wins the White House.
Okay, so listen, we are dealing with a multifaceted and very complicated system in when it's all said and done, based off of what we're being told and what the media has been regurgitating for a while now, I don't know how we're able to verify outside of the source of the media and the mainstream media. But based off of that, we got over 20 million illegals in this country. We're not just talking about migrants that have come through proper ports of entry. They have fulfilled whatever requirements via the immigration laws in this country require or expect in order to be able to give you due process to eventually become a citizen, seek asylum, bring your families here if you got significant others that come onto this soil. One thing I also want to mention too is that we cannot be naive. These people study our laws very extensively. And another thing that I've learned is that we have a lot of women coming over here pregnant because once they have the child on this soil, that child is automatically born a U.S. citizen, even though that child wasn't conceived over here. None of that. So we're talking at least 20 million. They're here. It remains to be seen what Trump and his administration, but I don't underestimate Tom Homan because his recently elected border of czar ain't no joke. He is not new to this arena, to this political arena, and he is not soft-spoken. He is not reserved in any shape, fashion, or form. And Trump has been very intentional with this man becoming the border of czar to stoke a massive contrast, in my opinion, between him and good old I wash my greens in the bathtub. Okay, so let's move on, and we're going to do a quick news clip on providing some information about the cartels and how they move and what to expect.
Donald Trump's ire across the country and around the world are scrambling to prepare for what happens after he retakes office. And that includes the mullahs of Iran and, of course, the cartels of Mexico. Mass deportations and military force against the cartels are just two things that Donald Trump has promised during his campaign. And with that comes the concern that the cartels will try to use the opportunity between now and Inauguration Day to smuggle as many people as they can across the border. That means the possibility of a surge in smuggling, and that's just people. Don't forget about the drugs. News Nation's checking in at three busy border sectors, the Tucson, El Paso, and Del Rio sectors, to see what is happening as these border states await the new Trump presidency. Border correspondent Allie Bradley joins us live. Allie, what are you hearing in these border towns now that the election's over?
Yeah, hey, Elizabeth, we're already seeing things actually ramping up here. So where we are, we're now in the El Paso sector. We're in Sunland Park. This is technically New Mexico. We are literally standing on the border with Mexico. So this is Mexico right here. This is where the wall ends.
Look at that wall. This is what I was talking about. Look at the wall and where it ends. For those, there's a whole community to the left, a whole community to the left that can be used as a safe haven for those that choose to come and seek the end of the wall on this avenue, and a whole state of citizens in New Mexico at the border, literally at the border. But you don't see any military, you don't see any barbed wire, you don't see anything but land in the end of a wall. And you have a media person standing at the end of that wall with nobody going back and forth while she is giving her commentary as to being able to circumvent, go around, and now on the right side of that wall, you are in the United States of America. I just wanted to point that out. Let's go.
You can see the boundary here. The wall just ends. These people are running across. We just saw a guy literally clear these railroad tracks and disappear off into that community over there, which is Sunland Park. Now, we come back around here, Chris, let's show them up here what this ridge looks like. So, you guys, we've been watching smuggling vehicles and smugglers up on this ridge. This is where we see them operate every day that we're down here. And these are kind of like makeshift stash houses. They're going to bring illegal immigrants in there, leave them in there for a couple hours until they have clearance, basically a green light to go, and then they'll send them down and they run into that community. So,
that's considered a stash house. Y'all, I don't know how we Americans feel about that, but when I saw that, I was like, a stash house? That don't even look like it got a bathroom in it. Hello? Okay, I digress. She said, based off of their language, that that's what they consider a stash house, and what they do is they wait and they peruse the area and ports of entry to validate when it's safe to cross the border, because it just looks too easy. It looks way too easy. Like I said, you don't have military, you don't have barbed wire, you don't have anything or anyone preventing them from crossing the border right where she's standing. However, they have enough sense to peruse it and to ascertain when it's safe to go to the other side. Because when she videotaped and the camera went to the other side, there was not just a community on the left side, there was also a community on the right side where it is considered legally the United States of America.
Speaking of stash houses, look what we experienced yesterday in the Tucson sector. This is another busy sector here as we visit 3 sectors in 3 days. We were there as law enforcement were searching a home. We're actually carrying out a warrant, a search warrant. You can see their guns drawn here. You can see in this situation in Cochise County where human smuggling is ramping up, these people were in a stash house. So there was 9 individuals from Mexico in a detached garage in the back. Now, this detached garage couldn't have been bigger than a 1-car garage. 9 people were in there, 3 women, 2 juveniles. There was clothes scattered all over the place, food discarded. The smell was just putrid. It was pretty intolerable. And these weren't conditions that you would wish on your worst enemy. So what is happening there? We were only about 100 yards from the border wall. Take a listen to what the sheriff had to say about what the cartel is doing and what they're going to be doing.
Shout out to the chat. She was saying that there were 9 people in the partition of a 1-car garage standards where we live. And she said, you could see she had her sweater, her jacket over her nose. And the stench in there was just, it really doesn't look that way based off of the optics, but I'll take her word for it. People are not playing about coming over into this country, and we have had open borders for the past 4 years since 2020. During COVID, people were traveling to come to this country. Y'all, I wanted to let that sit for a second. These are stash homes or stash houses, not homes, houses. They're stash locations where people use to transition, to regroup, to rest, to ascertain safety around them before they go to their next safety point. They're living under subhuman, based off of our standard of living in this country, conditions. We have got to understand from all sides what's really going on here, because one of the primary weapons used in art of war is to pit groups of people against one another in order to achieve the goal of those unseen. That's a gem. If you haven't gotten The Art of War, get it and read it. You're going to need those, at least knowledge of those techniques in the times to come. They've already been implemented. They've been using it against us for years while they have been entertaining us to death, literally. We got Tajaga in the house. Salute to you. We got Phoenix, beautiful Phoenix and Jaga. We got O Speaks. I know I've shot you out. We got my brother Mel Dub in the building. We got my homie Oliver Green in the building. We got the beautiful Sassy One in the building. Peace and blessings to everybody. I appreciate y'all. Thank you to O Speaks for the Cash App. I appreciate you. Thank you for the support. I truly, truly appreciate you. Thank you. And the Cash App is open. I'm open to receive any blessings that you may want to provide, super chats, all of that. Let's get back to it.
They're going to push hard right now. The cartels, they know they have to. They have a president coming in that's made it very clear, and based on his track record, he will secure this border. He'll declare it an emergency based on what we've had for the last 4 years, and which means it'll seal that border. So the cartels aren't stupid. It's a business. They're going to be pushing their dope through here, their illicit drugs, you name it, to include trafficking people, smuggling people.
So, Elizabeth, the cartel's a $13 billion a year industry back in 2018.
We're not going to slide past that. We're not going to slide past that.
$13 billion a year industry back in 2018. It was 5. So, Elizabeth, the cartel's a $13 billion a year industry.
Cartels, $13 billion with a B dollar industry. And I'm sure it has gone up substantially once they started to implement and prioritize human trafficking. Could it be, I'm just proposing a theory, fair use is in effect. Could it be that the reason why our media is showing us nothing but military-aged men, no backpacks, no luggage, no women in tow, no children in tow, has to do with human trafficking? Where are these children? How come none of the children are being shown to us? How come this isn't a family occasion? How come the family isn't being promoted from other countries and travel to find asylum and sanctuary into this country? And we have a government that the only way they will really provide and give any assistance is to support the division of the family. You can't qualify for Section 8 with a mother and a father or a married couple that have children in a household. You don't qualify to be on hard times and just need a leg up or a little of assistance or benefit from the taxpayers' monies that you pay into this system, into this government. They don't even give you an allotted amount of time. They just said, no, you don't qualify. So if you're not a single mother primarily with children, you don't qualify. And you got to jump through hoops, and you got to really show your whole ass out here as a single father with children in order to be able to qualify. But that's a diamond in the rough. That's a rare commodity. That is not the norm. That is something that happens as a one-off. But the media has been using this fear-mongering, in my opinion, tactic as showing us military-aged men, caravans with no women or children in tow coming into this country. When if you look at the people that have boots on the ground and they got cameras in hand, showing us an entirely different story and circumstance. For many, may not be for all, but the way that the media has really kind of displayed this entire situation, in my opinion, because they know people are paying attention. Say that again. Say that again. So we're going to go into another clip where they're going to actually, there's a representative, a political representative of Mexico, and he's going to break it down. He's going to tell us exactly what the relationship and the unwritten and spoken agreement between the U.S. government and Mexico is, and how U.S. is having the expectation of Mexico to enforce and to implement some tactics to slow down the illegal immigration aspect of coming into this country, but it is based off of unwritten agreements.
Back in 2018, it was 500 million. They were moving drugs then. Now they figured out people are very lucrative. So yeah, we're probably going to see them pushing more people across and more smuggling once Trump gets in, because they're not going to be able to walk across anymore. We're heading to the Del Rio sector. We'll be there tomorrow showing you what we find here tonight, but also showing you what they're dealing with in Eagle Pass, because groups of 300 are crossing there once again. We've seen it. And the National Guard there in Texas has actually been deploying pepper balls to deter those migrants. Elizabeth, we'll bring you that tomorrow.
All right, Allie, looking forward to it.
We're going to go segue right into the next one. And this one here, let's watch it together.
Haven't seen it, don't blame yourself. It just came out. This is the facility in Donna, Texas, showing migrants stacked wall to wall, many unaccompanied children just sitting there, laying there, waiting to be processed. Texas Congressman Brian Babin and retired acting.
Unaccompanied children. Let's do that again for those that may have missed it. Unaccompanied children with no adults, no parents, no supervision, in tow and present.
Shocking images from inside a cramped border. This came through yesterday. If you haven't seen it, don't blame yourself. It just came out. This is the facility in Donna, Texas, showing migrants stacked wall to wall, many unaccompanied children just sitting there, laying there, waiting to be processed. Texas Congressman Brian Babin and retired acting ICE Director Tom Homan both toured the southern border together. Jay joined us now to talk about what they saw, because they saw a lot more than just these images. Thanks to you both. Congressman, you're no stranger to this area. What was different about this visit?
Well, it's out of control. You know, I mean, in spite of what the Biden administration is telling us, this is not a crisis even. It's just a challenge, et cetera. We know it's a humanitarian crisis, not only for the migrants that were coming in. My heart just went out to some of these children.
These are children, y'all. These are children. Now, they sat back and they talked about how Trump separated the children from the parents during COVID. This is not footage from COVID.
In a facility there at Donna that should be holding 250, and they've got 5,700 people stacked in there like sardines.
200 capacity, over 5,000 of them. Oh my goodness. Over 5,000 off of a facility that only houses 200 at capacity. Logic, y'all. Logic. Logical thinking. Do your own investigation. Do your own research. This picture is bigger than replacing the voter block, in my opinion. Much bigger than replacing the voter block. Because with this election, it really didn't matter as much as they hoped it would.
And they just don't seem to realize what's going on there. The Border Patrol, as Tom will tell you, or I think the morale is down, but they're doing a tremendous job, but they're batting with a short stick. And then opening up the borders of the United States of America and absolutely creating this problem and putting Americans in danger, as well as these migrants, and the stunning cost of what is happening there. It's just unbelievable, Brian.
I know. We're getting hotels. We're converting military bases. We're taking over the convention centers, not even telling the governors. Tom, it takes a lot to rattle you from what you saw. Where does this rank in outrageous scenes at the border in your career?
It's the worst because this was totally preventable. You know, the Biden administration, the incoming administration was briefed. They said, if you end these programs, we're going to see a surge like you've never seen before. They were briefed by leadership at ICE, at CBP. I talked to the people that briefed them. And so they knew this would happen. Look, Brian, I wrote an op-ed in July of last year saying this would happen at the end of these policies. They knew what they were doing. Again, this isn't incompetence. This isn't, bad management. This is open borders. They designed
open borders. Open borders. When you have a governor of Texas being sued by the current administration for upholding the current immigration laws and the Constitution, being sued in essence. So the way to get around that is through the legalese and the lingo, right? But at the end of the day, logic is alive and well, and many of us, we come to our own conclusions, and whatever makes sense rings true. Whatever makes sense rings true. I know for those that may be familiar with my channel and that follow me may already know this, but for those that don't, shout out to my new subs, my mods, and my day ones, and my riders. I haven't had a TV, or I haven't watched TV in my house since 2020. I got one TV in my house, and I'll do I love basketball. My son plays football. So I'll do some of the games on that end when it's supportive. But other than that, I don't watch TV. Because when I went through COVID and I saw how they weaponized the media during COVID to basically dispel and to give people that had hope the opportunity to disseminate it through the media, I was like, And then if you know who owns 99.99999% of the media, it's like, okay, well, now it's connecting the dots, it's making sense. Yeah, that ain't really for me. That ain't my thing. Right? So I'm saying this as to say that at the end of the day, we have to use our own logic. We have to really resonate with what makes sense, do our own due diligence and research. And I don't want to etch out God through prayer, supplication, meditation, discernment, living through the laws biblically. We are living in a Babylonian system. And in my opinion, I live in Babylonian headquarters. I could be wrong. That's why I stated it is my opinion. We are the last country considered in the free world to hold up the NWO. If you know, you know. Miss Yo, hey sis, hey Laverne in the building. I know she always making something, shaking moves. So she bring a smile to my face anytime she come into my chat. Come on now, hit my panel. That's my girl. I'm sure there are many more who are getting paid off to let this happen. Everybody gets paid except for the American citizens. No, because they're using our monies to pad their own pockets. And when you align yourselves with people that have like minds like you, with the same evil intentions, the same narcissistic and selfish intentions, it go down a little bit easier because you're not surrounding yourself with nobody that's going to hold you accountable, or no one that's going to tell you, you know what, you wrong for that, you foul for that. And that really depicts that you're not a nice person, that you are not of stock from a good spiritual foundation. That's my opinion. Exactly. Let's go. Y'all know me. I'll get on a tangent on you.
Grant border. This came through yesterday.
Jesus. Here I go. I thought I could avoid that on the y'all.
While this administration is telling us to continue to wear masks and Biden, we actually...
How dare you insult her by using the word surge?
Where is she now, Brian? Why isn't she down here? I can tell you, leading this this delegation of Texas congressmen and former professionals in this very business, we actually asked, after Vice President Kamala Harris was given charge of the border situation by President Biden, we actually invited her. We invited her to come and visit with us at some of these spots on our itinerary. We heard nothing whatsoever. And absolutely, while this administration is telling us to continue to wear masks and only visit with just very few people up until to July, they are stacking people who are COVID positive, and children on top of one another, and releasing them into the public to fan out across Texas and across this United States in the middle of a pandemic. They have it's just hard to comprehend how they can justify this, except that I think this is their plan. They want open borders. They want as many of these people to come in and get on government assistance and become voting citizens, or at least voting people that would come in and continue the Democrat majority. And we just can't. I think people just need to wake up. And if it wasn't for people like you, Brian, and Fox News, they would not be getting the truth. And that's what we need, is the truth here.
Right. Tom, you insulted her when you used the warlike term surge.
Well, she needs to come down and talk to the men and women to put their uniform on every day and stand in that line.
She came down when Trump was president.
Oh, absolutely, but you haven't seen her since. Look, the men and women of the Border Patrol say it's a surge. The men and women of the Border Patrol is a crisis. The men and women of the Border Patrol know, as Brian Biden said, that these cartels are using these children and family units to throw them across the border and tie up their assets. 40% of Border Patrols assigned to the facility no longer online. So these cartels are moving drugs and bad people to unguarded areas. This is a national security crisis.
It is a national security crisis. Period. And it has been a national security crisis for a substantial amount of the time that this administration has been in office. Let us not confuse this with anything else than what it is. Nothing.
If she can't understand that or accept that, then she shouldn't be in Congress at all.
Yeah, what's unbelievable is the vice president was given this portfolio clearly by the president. She takes the weekend off and says, I'm not going to the border. I'm going to the origin of where the problem is. I don't know. Who's more powerful in that administration? It's hard to know. I don't even know what she's doing, but it's hard to believe that would be, you'd want the job and then not do the job. Congressman Tom Holman.
So with that being said, y'all, listen, I only got one more short clip and we're going to get up on out of here, because I know we all got other things to do. I wanted to bring this perspective to light because I have been feeling some type of way, as many others, and I don't want to spread only one perspective, nor do I want to spread misinformation that can be perpetuated through one perspective. For those that don't think outside the box, those that don't have independent thinking, those that don't think logically, or that those don't know how to think outside of the realm of the information that they are given based off of the venue or the source that they are given to provide them with said information that fuels them to only think one way. I'm not perfect by any means. I'm a woman first. I'm a mother second. And it is innate in me to attach my emotions to my decisions, to some of them. Now, I'm a Virgo, so we have the uncanny ability in some instances to detach ourselves from our emotions and think from a man's perspective. But in no way, shape, and form am I claiming to be able to do what a man does. Let me tell you, I ain't built for that. I ain't made for that. I ain't trying to do that. And at the end of the day, I want to be a woman that sits in her femininity, a mother that is nurturing, while the father and the husband and the significant other does what he was designed and ordained to do. That's what I care about. I'm not caring about perfection. I'm not caring about none of that other stuff. But I wanted to bring a different vantage point, because when you have to the tune of 20 million plus people coming into this country over the span of 3.5 to 4 years, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people, y'all. That's a lot of people. And they still coming up in here and they still risking it all to do so. And I want to know why. And exactly what other things are they going through, or to what extent are these people going through in order to come to this country? And why the US of A? Why here? Because the people and the citizens that are here, we got our own issues that we're aware of. When you have people in survival mode coming from other countries, they're not going to be asking the right questions all the time. They're just not. So let's go ahead. And this is going to be the final clip that I show. And it's going to show, or attempt to show, why Trump appointed him to be the border of czar when he could have appointed anybody. And anybody that knows AOC of the Democratic Party, younger former food waitress, that now has the ability to sit up in, hold on y'all, I'm multitasking. Give me 1 minute, y'all. Bear with me here. I got motherly duties calling and beckoning. Give me 30 seconds or less. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate you. Okay, so again, we are going to ascertain there was an exchange between AOC and Tom Homan back in 2019. 2019. And if I hadn't looked at the date, I would have thought that that was this week. because the conversation seems to ring the same and ring true no matter what date or year you're looking at. Let's go.
Anything you'd like to respond to what you've heard today?
Yeah, I'd like to respond to Acting Chairman J. Paul on your comment about the Trump administration moving money around for more detention beds. I'd like to remind you, under the Obama administration, we did that most of the years he was president. We moved money around DHS. It's called reprogramming. We did that under the Obama administration. I don't remember any hearings on that. And also, I'd like to remind you that under the Obama administration, I mean, you're quick to point out that the cages were built under Obama administration. I was there. Family detention, we had 100 family beds under Obama administration. We built 3,000 more. So when there was a surge in FY14 and FY15 on the border, Congress was quick to give all the money we needed to build detention facilities, get transportation contracts. We reprogrammed money out of the majority of the years he was president. That was fine. Under Obama administration, FY12, we removed 409,000 people, half of what was removed last year. There was no hearings on that. So this is about transparency. Let's be factual about it.
The time of the gentleman has expired. Since you did address some comments at me, I'll just say that I didn't like it under the Obama administration either. In fact,
but be honest with the American people. You can't point out faults in the Trump administration when it happened under the Obama administration. That's dishonesty. It's pathetic and it's sad.
Mr. Homan, I control the time and I am the chairwoman of the committee. Thank you for respecting that. I didn't like it under the Obama administration, and I'll remind you, Mr. Homan, that you also testified before Congress in support of the Obama's Priorities Enforcement Program before the Senate Judiciary Committee on May 19th, 2016, which had a very different approach.
Well, can I respond to that? Can I respond to that?
No.
Of course not.
I want to give you some time, but I do want to ask one quick question, and I want to make one quick statement. I find it very offensive that anybody would compare any federal employee, frankly, to someone who, the Gestapo or running Nazi concentration camps. That is very offensive. I have 15 seconds and I yield it to you.
Thank you for saying that. I wish somebody in Democratic leadership would say that out loud. Look, you want to know why there's 50,000 people in detention? You want to know why we have 1 million illegal entries in the United States? You want to know why we have these issues? Because you have failed to secure the border. You have failed to secure the border.
This is why I am sitting here saying what I'm saying, being somewhat disruptive in your eyes, seeming as if I'm disrespecting your position, but nobody is going to hear me unless it's now.
Work with this president to close the 3 loopholes we've asked for 2 years to close. So if you want to know why this issue exists, you need to look in the mirror. You have failed American people for not securing the border and closing loopholes.
They have failed the American people without closing the border. These are immigration laws, many of them Biden signed off on when he was inaugurated as the 46th president of the United States. So once you put your Hancock, you put your signature on that, you sign off on that, you are held to that. You are held accountable to that signature, to that acknowledgement. You don't get to backpedal and backstep or blame and put fault on somebody else because it ain't going the way you thought it was going to go, or things were being relegated and you were being put in the hot seat